Okay, friends, good afternoon, or perhaps good evening or good morning, depending on wherever you have joined for this meeting. Thank you once again for joining and welcome to this session on the academic program first. This is on the future of IIPS from the perspective of New Education Policy 2020. Now, this has been a matter which is discussed within the institute, and the Ministry of Health, which is the under which the institute comes, also has taken this issue quite seriously and has also formed a committee to discuss or to look at what is the short, medium, and long-term strategies one has to adopt within the context of new education policy. Because there are few sections of the new education policy which is directly impacting an institutions, particularly an institutions of a deemed university status. That was the concern. So we have also formed within the institute a committee, that a committee consists of many of the faculty members, and then see how actually, if the institute has to look forward in the future, how do you actually, what is that we would like to expand in terms of our demographic research or our population studies discipline? That is what, perhaps it is not a discussion exclusively on IIPS, it is actually a discussion which we would like to see how actually the demographic discipline or the population studies discipline as a whole should move in the country in the coming years. Because, because it is specific to IIPS because of two or three reasons. The one reason is that the new education policy has specified that there will not be any more deemed universities. They conceptualize that there should be a university. Each university should have both undergraduate and postgraduate programs, and it also need to have a larger number of students rather than having a few students like what we have in the past. Because earlier, as you know, there are many deemed universities in India which has very limited number of students, maybe 100. In some of these smaller institutions like IGDR, maybe have less than 50 students. We have something around 500. And so the new education policy suggests, no, we need to have a larger expansion. That is one thing. And second, it also suggests that any university should be a multidisciplinary in nature. It should not be a single discipline universities. But we would argue that actually population studies is inherently a multidisciplinary discipline, because we get from all the disciplines and comes to population studies, and then actually we develop our ideas and our research. But at the same time, we also need to see how far we can really multidisciplinary in a larger context of the new education policies really suggest. And thirdly, the new education policy also suggests that you can have something called either a teaching university or you can have a research university. I think IIPS, like universities, the institutions, like definitely it's a more of a research oriented teaching university, not a purely a teaching university like a typical university. So naturally, we also need to move forward what kind of research agenda we need to put forward in the coming years or coming decades, and how do we move forward. The new education policy gives you something around 20 years for accomplishing this. It's not an immediate task. It is something that one has to move gradually, because everyone understands that these are not an easy task. If you really want to achieve what is the ideals of new education policy suggest, it needs also a long, real critical thinking, really long-term vision, also to take forward how do we really move forward in the future. Actually, this is in this context that we has organized this session, and I'm really happy that the Professor Ephraim will be moderating this session. He has his rich experience as well as his contribution to the institute in terms as a director, as well as a faculty, as well as in different kinds of levels. I'm sure he is the ideal person to be moderating this session. Thank you, Professor Ephraim, for joining. We have also a set of panelists, Professor Dr. Rajiv Acharya, Professor Ravi Verma, Professor Kamala Gupta, Professor Sumati Kulkarni, Professor P.S. Nair, and Professor B.M. Ramesh. I welcome each one of you. I know that it is a real good big task which you have given to you, because you have to really look at national education policy, you have new education policy, you have to also look at how do we have to really seriously think, how do we really move forward in the future. So thank you all for joining, and each of the panelists will be given time after a brief presentation by my colleague, Professor S.K. Singh, who is here now. He will be presenting what was the ideas which was primarily developed internally when we had discussion on this. What should be the future of IIPS in the context of national education policy? That is what Professor S.K. Singh will be giving you an idea. And based on that, perhaps we can have a structured discussion how to move forward in the future. Thank you once again, all of you joining, and over to you, Professor S.K. Singh, for the presentation.
Thank you, Professor James. Good evening to all the IIPS alumni member, very senior colleagues. I'm extremely happy to make a brief presentation on this pertinent issue of future of IIPS in the context of national education policy, which is likely to achieve within next 20 years. For inconvenience. Good evening, good morning to our colleagues who are from Western countries. It gives me immense pleasure to make a brief presentation on future of IIPS teaching and training programs in the context of National Education Policy 2020. Those of you who might have left IIPS before 1992, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is S.K. Singh. I joined this institute in early 1993, and currently I am professor in Department of Mathematical Demography and Statistics. And on suggestion of Professor James, I was also part of that committee which worked out a plan which can be implemented by this institute in the context of revising ourselves. All of you will agree with me that IIPS has been unparalleled in revising its programs and activities, keeping a student in center, as and when there has been some changes either at national level or international level in population and health as a discipline. IIPS has immediately, without any delay, has adopted those changes in its teaching and training program, and always has been striving at positioning our students at national and international horizon. In this context, I have organized my presentation under these 5 different changes adopted by the institutes in last 3 decades. I have picked up 3 decades because I can share my experience after my joining at this institute, and then I will be briefly mentioning about 3 critical considerations in future plan of IIPS under NEP 2020. Those 3 critical considerations are encompassing recently approved restructuring committee recommendation, starting undergraduate program at the institute within interdisciplinary framework which Professor James has highlighted, and adopting integrated programs, integrated 5 years program, developing IIPS as a research university by creating 3 schools with specific objectives targeting around 2,000 students, because Professor James has rightly mentioned that there is no provision of deemed university on our NEP. Let me take few minutes, only 1 or 2 minutes, in bringing before you the changes which I have noticed during last 3 decades. Expanding teaching and research program of the institute around reproductive health issues after ICPD 1994. I realized the first thing. And in the process of expanding that, we also strengthen integrating qualitative and qualitative research methods in population and health research. Fortunately, that is continuing even today. Equipped our students with latest statistical software and free access to population-based survey data. That has really been helpful in strengthening our student-centric approach. Inclusion of new elective papers to strive at emerging demand in population health and development, whether it's a question of health economics, population aging, business demography, operation research. As and when newer areas emerged, without any delay, IIPS adopted that in our course curriculum after getting our academic and council approval. Early 2000, we started new courses like MSc in Population Studies and Masters in Biostatistics and Demography. In addition, various innovation in large-scale surveys to strengthen data quality and data ecosystem in the country, and moving on the path of generating data quality depository at the institute. IIPS also created placement cell to strengthen the prospects of positioning our students at a very higher level and developing separate unit to strengthen international collaboration. Currently, institute has around a dozen of international collaboration with around a dozen of universities across the globe. That is really strengthening our uh, three critical considerations which our committee has worked out for looking at institute's future are encompasses recently approved restructuring committee reports, which Professor James has already issued notification after academic council approval, where we are creating two new departments: Department of Survey Research and Data Analytics, and the Department of Family and Generations. And also we have established, we have actually got approved two new research center: demography of gender and also population aging. That is why these four structures will be starting very soon at this institute, and that is going to expand our teaching and research program. Starting undergraduate program and striving at recently emerged issues in population and health in India as well as globally, and meeting contemporary challenges by creation of three schools with specific objectives. Those schools are School of Population Sciences, School of Population Health, and School of Health Data Sciences. Various approaches for executing this. We have planned four strategies to execute these changes. Adopting extensive collaboration with various national and international universities and institutes, where role of our alumni may be extremely important. Enhancing implicit heterogeneity in faculty at the institute by promoting positions from diverse backgrounds, including biomedical and information technology. Creating special chairs for experts, including retired faculty, in a specialized area of teaching and research, and strengthening the concept of faculty exchange program. This is four pillar strategy for implementing those, executing those changes which we are planning. Let us look at how we can go to undergraduate program. As per the NEP requirements, we are planning to have a 5 years integrated program where 4 years will be undergraduate program. During undergraduate program, we will be including most of social science disciplines to make it multidisciplinary, and that will be helpful in creating future managers who will be working in population health and development challenges faced by the country. As a part of 5 years integrated program, it would be helpful to prepare students for a specialized MSc program, which will be there in the 5th year. I'm going to make a brief presentation on those three schools and 13 master's program, but only one global undergraduate program on population and health. 3 years, all common subjects, all multidisciplinary subject. In 4th year, we are planning to offer three specialization: social and behavioral sciences, social statistics, and data sciences, because we want to really tap the big data emerging globally. Despite 5 years integrated program, there will be provision of entry and exit after completing 4 years undergraduate course. Provision of inter-institute credit transfer following choice-based credit system scheme, which already has been implemented. I was talking about three specialization. Whenever we are looking at this specialization, first is social and behavioral science. This will focus at carefully analyzing and understanding human behavior. STEAM is likely to attract students who have interest in understanding, predicting, and influencing human behavior through interaction of various social science, anthropology, sociology, psychology, economics, geography, etc. Students graduating with this stream are likely to observe in academia, research institutions, human resources, urban planning, youth services, and even love enforcing. Why I am highlighting this? Because even if a student wants to quit the program after 4 years, he or she will be entitled for undergraduate degree. And after completing 4 years, a student we will have to ensure adequate job prospects. Why? Yeah. Second is the social statistics, which will deal with use of statistics to study human behavior. Students will learn to investigate and test what we are dealing in our ongoing 3 masters program, MPhil program, which has been stopped from this year, and on PhD program. A student graduating with this stream are likely to be observed again in the similar discipline, and data science, which is the emerging area, which will deal mostly use of algorithm to analyze and interpret big data. That is our focus. This is an emerging discipline which cuts across number of traditional disciplines like mathematics, statistics, computer science, etc., to understand complex problems using big data. Data sciences can also throw newer research questions and hypotheses and theories that otherwise may not come up using the classical approaches of researching population and health. Students graduating with this stream are likely to observe again in academia, business houses, industry, research, and development. We are really feeling slightly bad because most of pharmaceutical companies are still making a distance from IIPS. We are visualizing that our students will have a much better prospects if we are making entry into pharmaceutical companies. Interfacing undergraduate and graduate postgraduate program with the provision of entry and exit after 4 years of undergraduate program under CBCS system, where a student may opt for any of the 13 proposed 1-year master's program under these 3 schools. This is both way. Those who are undergoing undergraduate program here, they can go out, and those who are doing courses somewhere else, they can come in the 5th year at IIPS. School of Population Sciences. This is by and large our current structure of International Institute for Population Sciences, our syllabus. Institute has a plan to start School of Population Sciences, further expansion and advancement in the field of in view of socio-economic and demographic changes in India and globally. This school of population sciences would be unique in offering interdisciplinary research, teaching in population and related issues. Proposed school would also undertake scientific research on population issues, virtually which we are currently, and we have 6 proposed departments under this, but one is this Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, because once we are offering undergraduate program, it becomes compulsory to establish that department also. And Department of Family and Generation, which has already been approved as per order, probably from October 1st, 2021, this department will be in function at this institute. And these 3 masters program, our MPS, Master in Population Studies, is the brand program of the institute. Master in Demography, right now we are calling Master in MSc in Population Studies, that we are calling. This will be new master's program to be started by this school. MSc in Labor and Migration Studies. Our second school is School of Population Health. Not only our country, entire globe has faced the pandemic of COVID-19. That is still, threat is not still over, it is going on. And everyone has realized some lag in data and policy research related to that. To better meet the emerging challenges of demographic and epidemiological transition, India needs a national institute that has access to all data related to population health, have world-class facility for multidisciplinary teaching and research on population health issues, having highly trained and professional manpower, and has an ecosystem for knowledge sharing and dissemination. Such an institution is important to formulate evidence-based policy responses to day-to-day challenges related to population health in the country. IIPS plans to develop such an institution by establishing a dedicated School of Population and Health. That school will have 4 departments: Department of Health System and Policies, Department of Health Economics, Department of Population, Aging and Health, and Department of Epidemiology. Currently, under restructure of this institute, Department of Mathematical Demography and Statistics has been renamed as Department of Biostatistics and Epidemiology. But now we are planning to establish two separate departments. Department of Epidemiology under this proposed Department of Health, under this School of Population and Health. That will have these 4 master's program, and last is School of Health Data Sciences. Health Data Sciences is based on science and technology and population health and well-being of human with emergence of big data system. Recent methodologies in health data analysis, including geospatial analysis and prioritizing the interventions to improve health-related quality of life, which demand updating knowledge and skills of our students. I'm saying students, truly speaking, our faculty also in these emerging areas. IIPS is specialized in large-scale surveys on population health and nutrition, which provides evidence-based for health policies and programs, and also used in tracking the progress of various programs and intervention since last 30 or more years. The recent developments in large-scale surveys and health data require advanced and updated scientific and technological rigors. I will give one small demonstration for that with a pronounced application of emerging artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is why I told that this is important not only for our students but also for faculty. An institute is planning to organize various workshops in that direction. I am giving this example for all of us are aware that IIPS has completed 5 rounds of National Family Health Survey and preparation for 6th round is undergone. First 3 rounds, starting from 92-93 to 2005 and 6, we have only 2 major components of comprehensive training on and multi-layer monitoring and supervision, minimizing instrument error, human error, and transcription error in data collection of biomarker. But if you look at NFHS 4 onwards, institute has gone long away. That was the time, 2015-16, when ministry asked IIPS to go from a state level to district level. Generate estimate national level, state level, district level. That enhanced scope as well as IIPS responsibility 5-fold. With the help of our technical partner ICF International, that was the time when we started using artificial intelligence and machine learning in our data quality mechanism there itself. Developing nested design that was not required, that IIPS did, but here cloud computing, paradigm shift in data collection process with introduction of KIP using cloud computing and real-time access to data using web-based query, which we are calling fact sheets, an opportunity for immediate feedback that extensively use artificial intelligence technique. In NFHS 5, we went for further 3 steps. Those steps were developing error message in generating data using machine learning techniques and generating POQR, Project Observe Query Report, on selected indicator, again using artificial intelligence technique. And now, as per the approval of NFHS 6 TSC, we have proposed again, I mean to say that IIPS has already on the way of increasing use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in strengthening the data ecosystem in this country and also establishing data quality repository at this institute. This school will have 5 departments. Department of Survey Research and Data Analytics that has already been approved by restructuring committee and executive council on the institute. Like Department of Family and Generation, this department also is going to start functioning soon. And Department of Biostatistics, I mentioned that currently we are having biostatistics and epidemiology, but now we want to plan to take 2 different departments under 2 different schools. Department of Computational and Digital Demography, Geoinformatics and Spatial Demography, Department of Social, Ecological and behavioral statistics. And we plan these 6 master's program: MSc in survey research and data analytics, MSc in monitoring and evaluation, MSc in biostatistics, MSc in computational and digital demography, MSc in geoinformatics and spatial demography, MSc in social, ecological and behavioral statistics. But Professor James had already highlighted that this is not planned for a year or two. This is a long-term plan for next 20 years. Thank you. Thanks a lot. This was our plan, and now we are requesting Professor James to.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Singh. Actually, he has got a very broad plan and also very ambitious plan for the institute. I think it is all of us really reflect upon that. That is the purpose of this actually interaction. I think I should not take much of a time. We would like to hear from the experts as well as the panelists and also open it for wider discussion. May I now request Professor Ephraim to come in and moderate the discussion. Over to you, Professor Ephraim. Maybe Professor Ephraim may be unmuted. Professor Ram, is it audible?
No.
I think it's still not unmuted.
Here we can't unmute. Now
Yeah, you are. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I thought I had a control in my hand, but it was controlled by somebody else. So now I'm unmuted. Thank you very much for this. And now we are left with 1 hour as per the schedule. And therefore, I directly go to the panelists, and I would like to state my point of view at the end. And therefore, maybe 6 to 7 minutes time, because we have 1 hour. That means half an hour, 40 minutes for 6 speakers. And then maybe audience also, we need to give some chance to react. So first panelist is Dr. Rajiv Acharya. So request him to raise his point and concern.
Thank you, sir. I'm really honored to be with all my teachers around in this panel, and I'll try to make very short, brief comments on this. I mean, of course, what Dr. Singh has presented, what Dr. James has given forward is a really ambitious plan, and it will take years to accomplish. And I don't remember or have knowledge of having such specialized university anywhere globally, where you have those kind of master's degree being offered, really being offered in another place. There are courses, there are specific programs within a particular degree program where you can find those. But having a full master's degree in one of those particular things is a really special thing. I mean, so one thing is definitely we need to be very innovative and see how we can make those courses attractive, because making courses and offering courses is one thing, and attracting the talent in those courses, students in those courses is another job. So that's probably one thing that will be really challenging, to have so very narrow and specified areas of study. How many people will be interested, how we increase those kind of interest in among the potential students is something very important. Dr. Singh briefly mentioned about the data quality work, which I just want to say in one two sentences, is something that Population Council and IIPS is working together on the data quality of surveys in particular this time, and then expand it to administrative data quality and other things, where we are working on different data quality dimensions of NFHS and other large-scale surveys at this point. And we have been discussing how to take forward that within IIPS, new structured IIPS, university. And I'm glad to see that the data science department itself, not department, that's a data science stream itself, and where there will be departments where these kind of courses can go in. I'm sure it is interesting, and it's also important for new students to know about not about specifics of the survey, but how to ensure survey data quality. If they are in a system like if they are joined at HMIS, what are those things that they should do to maintain quality of the system? So quality aspect is something was missing from the education that we had gone through in IIPS and many other places, and probably missing in many places. So that's one very unique offering that IIPS would probably make, I'm sure, and that will be a great addition to this. I just wanted to say a couple of other things. One thing, I mean, I'm sure that you are already doing, but need to have some, inquiry about what are the job demands are there. I mean, I often hear the people who pass out from IIPS directly go and join some organization, and it takes some time for them to really adjust to the organizational work, whether it is research work or monitoring work or any other work. It is probably because of their lack of practical knowledge of things. They know theoretically many things. They have analyzed a lot of data, all these things, but then there is some connection between actual education and the practice is really required for each student. My plan is to suggest to you that if there can be an internship, compulsory internship program before awarding the degree, which is probably going to change things a bit. I know many foreign universities make internship program compulsory. You have to get an internship somewhere. You work there for 3 to 6 months or 8 months, and you come back and complete your degree. IIPS can think in that terms, and that will give them opportunity to have acquired those skills. Those are required actually when they go and join somewhere. Academics is one thing, but there are many other organizations where only academics do not help. They need other kinds of skills. So that is one thing. And I was also thinking in some way, if we can make English courses compulsory in IIPS, have some faculty in English courses. There are a lot of students who are coming out very poor in English. Unfortunately, we don't work in Hindi in our stream. So it is probably required to have good Hindi, English knowledge and skills, and speaking and writing skills. There could be special courses on writing skills. There could be special courses or programs on communicating results and presentation skill. That another thing that I see lacking with many new students who come out when they present in some of the international conferences, and we get to the so those kind of special small skill building courses or exercises can also be added to that. I stop here. I think I have already spoken for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. I think appreciate your concern for time, and also IIPS student. Now I request Dr. Ravi Verma to raise his points of concern. Yes. Good
Thank
seeing
you.
smiling. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Such
Yeah.
a great feeling to be among the friends and a family. I uh, I think uh, the presentation that Dr. Singh made clearly shows that IIPS is how seriously IIPS is thinking to take another leap, a huge jump. And good to see a lot of churning, lot of thinking that has gone in creating this particular document and future vision. But since I'm a family member, I can be a little critical of what we do. My, in this whole document, I see a kind of a struggle to move away from what you were doing. It lacks bold thinking. And let me qualify this. By creating these three schools, we have literally locked ourselves within the fold of on health predominantly, and we have missed out the other critical parameters of our life, the how world is changing and its interlinkages with population. For example, environment and development. These two, I must say. Now, you would say that we have a population and development department in population sciences, but you also have a population and mortality studies and health in your department, and also you have a school of health sciences. I think this was the opportunity where population as an issue impacting development, health, and environment, these three major chunk of domains that intersect with population as a demographic phenomena, and how population impacts these three could have been conceptualized a little more clearly and would have provided a much better opportunity for innovative kind of multidisciplinary ideas that you are all talking. So I clearly think that's a matter of concern. It's a rehashing of what we were already doing by just creating one school of health science data, which I really like the addition of artificial intelligence as a parameter, which is everyone talks. But I think with this, IIPS is further reinforcing its stereotypical image of being only data persons, data people. And that's what Rajiv was perhaps alluding to, that if IIPS has to broaden its perspective and needs to reach to newer levels of achievements or breakthroughs, then it should have been a little more bold in breaking away from just data as a center and health as a piece. I know you are all funded by health department, so there must be a compulsion that Ministry of Health defines some of these things. But I'm just taking the liberty that I think since you are no more deemed university and you are given a freedom to connect and raise businesses and funds and opportunities for students, I think this was an opportunity, in my view, is missed. And if you can do some kind of mid-course correction, perhaps you have to go back to the drawing board and rethink about this entire conceptualization of it. Second, I definitely think that, we are talking about the population as a discipline, but we don't even hear three critical terms that are defining most researchers in the development sector. One is gender, the other is equity, and third is intersectionality. I think the whole idea of how, by saying multidisciplinary, we do not conceptually and nor operationally address these three issues. How cross-cutting they are, in what way they impact some of these dimensions. It's completely missing. And if you don't have that, then the students don't get the articulation of it. What will happen is that out of those 12 master's program, you would again churn out the students who are very specific to some of the skills. I think a skill is important, and I'm not denying. I think IIPS has far too long emphasized on skills without perspective. And I think if perspective has to define the skills and a skill has to draw its energy from the perspective, then this departmental siloed thinking of reorganizing yourself may have to be thought through. That's my comment. I think I can go on this elaborating what are the newer frontiers of research that are emerging in the areas of gender and health, and gender and on the issues of intersectionality and equity, which have all implications, and climate now with taking the center stage. That's why environment is completely missing from this whole thinking. So my sense is that even for an internship program, you may not find appropriate institutions where the students can go and work if they don't have those kind of openings. So Dr. Fawzaram, thank you very much for saying, raise your concerns. So I have raised my concerns. If you had said that, give me constructive suggestions, then I would have given you constructive suggestions, which I always feel a bit hypocritic. But my sense is that there is perhaps a need to think about this, and I'm saying it as an internal, having my own stake in IIPS for very long, and I continue to draw my strength from the students who come out of the IIPS and the kind of work we do with all of the partners. So needless to say that IIPS and its training has produced an enormous amount of talents and skills, and these students who have been so integral to a lot of policy making work and research in inevitable kind of a manner. But I think the next generation work that we are talking about through these kind of population as a university, then it should have much more broader lens than what it is presented here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It takes time to unmute actually, because someone else is doing. I'm not doing. It is not in my control, that button. So it takes time. Thank you, Barmaji. I think you have raised a real concern, which is the skills without perspective. And maybe as a joke, I think ICRW should provide a perspective. Take some time to change IIPS student in your framework. But anyway, I would now invite.
I know before you pass on by making this light remark, I don't want to underplay my comments by pitching one institute against another.
No.
I've never represented ICRW when I'm making my point here. Gender is a concept that I spoke, but the issue of equity and intersectionality is not patronage of ICRW. I can tell you that. I think,
okay.
and I think we also lack perspective, and we are also building our own perspective. I'm reading Buddha all the time.
Thank you. Now I request Professor Kamala Gupta.
Yeah, I think let me also clarify this. No, let me also clarify before Professor Kamala Gupta comes that, these, whatever we presented is only an idea. It has never been thoroughly discussed or never been implemented, or it is actually an idea. So we have all freedom to criticize heavily on this. We really look forward to your criticism. So thank you for any suggestions on this. So because I think there has been a concern that it is already implemented. No, it is not true. It is only just an idea at this stage.
Okay. Yes, madam.
Okay. Can you see me and hear me?
They are doing it. So
hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We are
Can
able to hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you. We can listen to you.
Greetings to all of you, my earlier panelists, and greetings to all those who are attending this alumni meeting. And now, my previous panelists, they have raised very important issues regarding the expansion process of IIPS. But I think this is high time that IIPS expand. Maybe perspective, maybe whatever suggestions have been given by Dr. Acharya, all those can be taken into consideration. But I think this is the right time for IIPS to expand further. I have three issues or three concerns about the subjects that are to be included in the expansion. where they have to be included, maybe at undergraduate level, maybe at the postgraduate integrated course, or that needs to be discussed later on. But I feel the areas in which IIPS research particularly has not proceeded much is one. Dr. Actually, Ravi Verma mentioned little bit about the environment. So my first concern is that in the whole presentation of the expansion of IIPS, I don't find much inclusion of the environment. And when I say environment here, I don't mean social environment, because we have some studies or some inclusion of the social environment in our course curriculum. But I don't find much inclusion of the physical environment and the mechanism through which it is affecting the population, particularly the health aspects. And we have seen in the recent years so many environmental problems have been have come out, and people are paying a lot of cost for in terms of health issues. For example, the recent changes in the climate resulting into very extreme climatic conditions, flooding, and so on. So, what is the impact of all these environmental casualties on the population health? I don't find any, inclusion in this expansion expansion program. So, my suggestion is that, and it is not just the concept. Like we in development, we include sustainable development and so on. But I think how to operationalize those concepts in our research, how do we construct the indicators to study their impact and so on. Lot can be included and lot can be discussed further. I don't want to highlight it further because I have limited time. The second area is where I feel we have included migration, urbanization in our teaching all through, and whatever is the current course curriculum, that is sufficient for maybe undergraduate level. But I think again there is a right. This is the right time to expand further in those areas. For example, what we right now mainly do is how to define migration rates and ratios, but what is the mechanism of migration and some aspects of migration like women migration and so on, we don't touch upon, whereas the framework for female migration may be very different than the male migration. So there is a need to strengthen that department in that terms. And I feel that at the postgraduate level, we have to train as well as do research in the field of special mobility, because migration is a very small component of the entire field of special mobility. There are other important aspects of spatial mobility, like say temporary movements, which don't come out of our studies. Say the data which is given to us is from the census mainly, and the census data also comes after 10 years or 8 or 10 years, very late. So by the time we do research, the things have already changed, but we don't get any idea about the extent of the movements which are being conducted in by the people. So there is a need to include other forms of spatial mobility, like temporary movement, residential movements, commuting, etc., etc., trafficking, etc., etc., because all of them have very important implications for the health as well as for the gender empowerment, as well as the mechanism of all these movements are very different. So unless we do further inclusion of all these different forms of special mobility, I don't think and how to proceed about it, because there are hardly any migration surveys, and particularly all India level, we don't have any migration surveys. So at the post-graduation level, we can include how to conduct the migration surveys, because there may be slightly different mechanism to or the procedure to conduct the migration surveys. So I think all those aspects need to be included in our post-graduate level. The third thing which I think has come out recently, because the political situation of the world is changing very fast. In the countries also, the political situation is also changing very fast. So if we can include as a, I don't think department or anything, but how to include it can be thought of later on. But I think there is also the need to include politics and demography. So I think these three areas, I don't find much inclusion in your entire expansion programs. So if possible, try to say, because this is not the right time to highlight or to expand further that where they should be included, how they should be included. But I think I feel that these three areas, if we include, we need to include in our expansion program. So I thank you very much. And I also feel that my association was with the IIPS was really very cherishing. I still cherish all the memories. Very, very pleasant environment, IIPS. Very free environment to do your research and teaching at IIPS. Some of the very important character of the IIPS, the family life environment. I think all those things I cherish even now. And I still feel that I am a part of faculty of IIPS. Maybe this is too much of thinking, but I feel like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Now I request Professor Sumati Kulkarni to raise her concern. Yes, madam.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Am I
We
audible?
can hear. Yes, we can hear
And
you.
am I visible?
No, no.
Visible?
No.
Am I visible now?
Not it.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
You are audible. Please continue.
But okay, then I think I even if I'm not visible, it doesn't matter. But I have some very important points to say. First of all, thank you very much for calling me for this important meeting. Now, let me at the outset make it very clear that I'm very much proud of IIPS and its achievement in the field of data analysis, its statistical rigor in the analysis. But at the same time, right from the beginning, I have been feeling that the social science component has to be strengthened, and not only strengthened, it has to be integrated with our statistical rigor. Now, when I joined this institute from Gokhale Institute, I had already taught in Pune University, and the first thing which struck me here is that the technical fertility, substantive fertility, technical mortality, substantive mortality, they were separated. Not only that, but even persons were identified as technical persons and substantive persons. And for a long time, I wish that this marriage should take place and they should be integrated. But even after so many years, again, I find, even in the plan which is put up here, I find that I don't think that kind of a marriage has taken place. So it is high time, if we are going to become as demographers socially relevant, and we have to help in solving the problems of development or problems of planning. We have to integrate these two things. And here I give the example again of business demography. Now we have data science course. Now data science course says that it offers tools to help the people to make decisions. Now business decisions are very important decisions where lot of statistical and tools will help. Now, when I introduced this business demography course, I had seen it in China, and China was using it that way for business decisions because they were slowly coming out of their traditional thing and partly globalizing. Now, even in Thailand, I found that they were being absorbed in marketing companies. It is not a question of just employment opportunities, but I will tell you 2-3 incidents which I experienced. Once, somebody approached me and said that you have estimated cost of bringing up children. I thought some researcher must have done that, must be asking for that. Then I gave the relevant portion from my thesis. And next, after a few days, that person came with a box of mithai for me. Then I asked, then that person was a lawyer, and my estimates of cost of bringing up children, they use for fixing getting the right alimony for a girl. So we are relevant, but we don't realize because we are too much drowned in statistics. Similarly, once I was traveling and my next passenger in the flight was a senior official from Arvind Mills. And when he asked me what I do and I explained to him, he said, we want to introduce these denim jeans in rural areas. So can your institute provide me data with how many youth are there and in different areas and how fast this youth population will be growing. So that is what I'm saying, that we have to involve along this. There will be temptation to include business demography in population and development department and data science in a separate department. But actually we have to integrate the two, and then only we will be more and more relevant for our problems. And here again, I would say Professor Singh was talking about involving retired faculty and creating a chair. But what we really need is to invite visiting faculty from business people. I tried that, but somehow I didn't get much time because of my retirement was coming near and I was busy with NFHS too. But involving business people, and I am involved in a big way in Tata Institute reconstruction, and we should be proud that one of our past students, Professor Parshuraman, had brought that restructuring very successfully, and being having some key position there, I was witness to that or participated in that whole process. That is why I feel that we should involve visiting faculty on a regular basis from the business section. Similarly, in urban planning, we should involve people who are practically solving these problems. So what Rajiv Acharya was saying, that instead of preparing themselves afterwards in a very condensed course, right from the beginning, if we involve people from practical field who are using this, marketing people. So all this business demography, when I say, I feel that data science and business demography should be integrated, and then only it will be a good solution. Similarly, Professor Singh has already mentioned health economics. I think we are doing, we have done research in reproductive health, that is, and still we will be continuing doing that. But now our focus should be that we should play a key role in strengthening the health system, and their health economics plays very important role. Particularly, even earlier people like David Bloom had estimated the economic implications of diseases like AIDS. But in the present pandemic, it was very clearly shown that it has a lot of economic implications. And even if we take action to control the pandemic, we have to first think about the economic implications. So there are many areas in health economics where, for example, the expenditure analysis and the costing of interventions, cost effectiveness analysis, costing of different health facilities, all these are very important, or even pricing of drugs. We demographers are very relevant for that, and these things we have to venture into these areas, because then only we will be socially and practically relevant for sort of problem solving approach. Otherwise, all our research, I am afraid, is likely to be just academic exercises. Many times in Tata Institute, I find that very brilliant students from IIPS come, but when I see their thesis and all that, the findings are more like academic exercise. So we have to be more socially relevant, and for that, this marriage with social science component is very much essential, and that's why we have to increase that, and right from the beginning. So, and another thing is, IIPS has a tendency of making these as elective subjects, but we have to start these different streams. Now in health economics, again, insurance is another area, and there are people who have worked in insurance field. We have to involve them. Instead of our faculty doing everything, we should involve this faculty more and more. And that is what I particularly feel. So otherwise, our ambitious program, unless it is combined, these two things are combined. It's same about gender also, that we talk about measurements, and I have started in my retirement year, I started this course on gender. But there again, I find that the whole philosophy, or we made them expert in gender, but converting them into that kind of a mindset, that somehow was not achieved, because the name of the course itself was Gender Issues in Demographic Research. Actually, we have to involve so many other things, social science theories and theoretical part particularly. Otherwise, our whole population science is so much in data, and we take pride in data, no doubt about that. But that data, unless it is usefully used for solving the problems, it won't be. So these two things, business demography and health economics, I'm talking about. But the same perspective should be there in other fields also. Otherwise, I think it's a very ambitious and good plan. And I congratulate IIPS for making such a very big, ambitious plan. And I wish them all success. And I have learned a lot in IIPS. I'm very grateful to IIPS for all the opportunities given to me. But still, it pains me when I feel that lot of good work done in IIPS is not seen outside. So we have to change the image also. That demographers means only numbers. That should not be the image outside. And if we are relevant in solving the actual problems of the society, even in urban, I think, why not involve people from MMRDA, like that, those who actually do these things. Then only our students will have practical skills. And that is, I think, the crux of the new education policy, that people should be given actual skills. So in data analysis, we are giving, but some tools to make business decisions, or some, apart from measurement rates and ratios, we should go not only beyond numbers, but beyond demography, and strengthen our social science component while retaining our statistical rigor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Now I request Professor P.S. Nair. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good. Please raise your concern.
Yes, I will raise some concerns or changes, something like that. Okay. And anyway, at the outset, I should say that I'm extremely happy to be in this group. And thank you very much, Dr. James, Dr. Singh, Professor Ram, etc. All right. I'll just start from one thing. Somebody said, the feeling, because I was in IIPS, as you know, only for a short period. actually, if you take the long career so far, only 4 years I spent. Still, you know, IIPS has got, I don't know, some attractive, some attractive power. And I feel, you know, all the time, IIPS is my second home. I don't know, only 4 years I spent, but still. So that is the environment we have in IIPS, you know. All right, very good. Anyway, this proposal, I went through this proposal, you know, broadly, and I feel it is a very ambitious one. And as a deemed university, I think IIPS can afford to think on these things, because when I say these things, you know, I know that it involves a lot of human resources and lot of infrastructure development, including the library, etc., etc. A lot of resources are needed. But I think IIPS will be able to do that, and the only institute in India on this field, developing in this field, is only IIPS. So in that way, I think I am very optimistic about this whole proposal coming true. And as an alumni, I will be extremely happy to be to do something about this, at least in the preliminary meeting, etc., etc. Okay. Anyway, at the outset, I say, you know, that there are 2-3 things I like very much, you know, that the existence of a placement cell, very good. That's very important from the student's point of view and placement. And there is a unit I heard to strengthen the international collaborations, actually. And I heard also the international collaborations is going on with almost 10 or 12 agencies outside the country. Very good. And I also agree with Rajiv Acharya, that is an internship is extremely important. There should be an important cell to be formed to monitor this internship business. And I think it's a very important thing for a university like this. Okay. Then coming to some to specific things, you know, this 5-year integrated program is excellent, you know, and it is good that, you know. And there, I think some concerns raised by the former speakers, former panelists, you know, about the involvement of other social sciences and use of other social sciences and behavioral sciences. It should come there, and then the 4th year, the specialization you are offering that, and that is also in a way it looks very fine. And then come to the 3 schools, you know. The 3 schools, population sciences and population health and health data sciences, very good. Okay, all right. I think that covers, these 3 schools can cover, you know, and cover this social and demographic and behavioral science aspects of demography, and that's okay, good. And if you go school-wise, you know, in population sciences, you are planning 6 departments, and already mentioned the 2 departments have already been sanctioned or started functioning, or will be functioning soon, etc. There is one new department that's very good, actually, humanities and social science. You know, that department can also help satisfying some of the concerns of Professor Subhadi Kulkarni mentioned. That is given some thrust on humanities and social sciences. It is needed and it is good. Okay. And I also agree that the classification of substantive demography and technical demography is all rubbish, actually. This we see only in India. I tell you, in any other countries with my experience, I have never seen a distinction making between substantive demography and technical demography, etc. Okay. And it will be taken care of by this, to some extent, by the interaction of this new department, humanities and social science department, etc. And one minor thing there is, the name of, I don't know. I'm taking this freedom because Dr. James said, it's only an idea, only in the proposal stage. So changes can come, the modifications can come. That is the reason why I'm telling these small things. If you can make, it's good in my opinion. This family and generations, I don't know, the Department of Family and Generations, that, terminology, Why not we call family demography? Department of Family Demography. When we call a family demography, it can take generations, generations is a part of a component actually in the family demography aspect. So the renaming or changing of it's a question of nomenclature, all right. Then in the, you have the 3 MAs are proposed there: population studies, demography, and labor and migration studies actually. Again, my concern is this population studies and demography. You have already a program, MSc program in biostatistics and demography is there. And now you are adding MSc demography and MSc population studies. You see, this, if you, when I looked at the clientele perspective, when somebody needs a demographer for an organization, whom he should take, whether it's an MSc in population studies or MSc in demography or MSc, of course, MSc in demography and biostatistics, I keep it out because the biostatistics component is there. Because here, when you talk about population studies and demography, it makes, suppose I am an employer, it's a confusion. Whom to take? A population studies student, or demography. So you have to think about that, whether we need these two streams of demography MSc and population studies MSc. No, the syllabi will be more or less the same and approach will be more or less the same. Think of that, whether you need it or not. In my opinion, there is one MSc is enough, MSc population studies or MSc demography, one is enough. Okay. Then about this Department of Labor and Migration Studies, why not you add urbanization also there, labor, migration, and labor, urbanization, and migration studies. It will look little long, but still, the urbanization is extremely important in this, and it is a very, very, very important concept. And India is, and that India is getting more and more urbanized. An important thing, and urban behavior and everything is changing now, which is important. And then coming to the population and health, school, I think, I understood that, the 4-year BSc course, etc., comes under that school, the BSc in population and health. Okay, that is there. And the 3 specializations also, you think of that introducing there social and behavioral sciences, etc., etc. Very, very good. I approve that. I feel it is okay. But I have one concern there. That is the department of in the departments, the 4 departments. One department is called health economics. Another is Department of Aging and Health. These 2 departments, as a department, does it have scope to make it aging and health one department? And again, health economics. Health economics is a part of public health, or it's a branch of economics. Anyway, can it qualify as one separate? Does it demand a separate course, an MA course on health economics and agricultural health, etc.? That you can think of that. So MSc, you are thinking of MSc in health economics and MSc in population aging, etc., etc. So these are some of my specific concerns and overall concerns. But overall, I feel it's a very, very, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's a very ambitious plan. And and as an alumni, I hope that it will come through, and we will be extremely happy to be a part of this program. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ram.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, last speaker, Dr. B.M. Ramesh. See there?
Hello, Dr. Ram.
Yeah. Yes.
Good evening, and everybody. I mean, it's so amazing to be part of this group. I mean, I've been a student and a faculty in IIPS. 10 years of my life I spent in IIPS, and it's a major part. And this alumni meet really brings a lot of memories for me. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Good to be here. I think when I heard Dr. Singh and the plans for restructuring the future of IIPS based on the NEP 2020, I thought it was they were all kind of different departments, so many courses. What I was missing was some kind of an idea or a concept or conceptual framework that links all of them. Like, as I think Dr. Ravi Verma was saying, that we need to, I mean, it looks as if they're all kind of different silos, and there is no running theme in terms of what is it that we are trying to achieve here in terms of the future of IIPS. What is our perspective? What is our idea of development, or what is the role of IIPS, for example, in the national and global development sphere? I felt that the over focus on health probably needs to be relooked into, and we should make ourselves more useful in the development sector overall, because most of the IIPS alumni are engaged in the development sector, and so the perspective on development in terms of gender equity, intersectionality, and environment, I mean, these are all so relevant. So I was thinking that maybe, one of the things that I have noticed is that IIPS tends to be a lot inward and internal. And I think it's important for us to, whenever we think of this restructuring and reconceptualizing, to involve the other stakeholders in the development sector. So I was hoping that the preliminary ideas that you have, which has been probably developed mostly internally within IIPS faculty and other stakeholders, but I think we need to involve going forward. I mean, to shake this up and take a step back and look at what exactly are we aiming here in terms of the future of IIPS, and what's the kind of role we see of IIPS in the overall development. And so that's my first kind of a reaction to this plan, that we need to take a step back and probably spend a little more time on conceptualizing what exactly is the role of IIPS.
Hello. Yes, sir. I am the host for this meeting, and I'll moderate. Yes, sir. Jitendra Prasad.
Sorry, did I hear somebody?
Some other session.
Dr.
Okay,
Fauzdar,
so
your control has shifted.
Go ahead. I think some other session of the same celebration, I think
okay,
they are trying to connect. So
somebody was get crashing.
no problem. I mean, yeah. So the other thing which I was thinking was also in terms of like what Rajiv and Dr. Verma both were emphasizing, is the need for IIPS to be part of the development process in the nationally. Basically, I was thinking more in terms of having practical understanding of development and how do we work in the development sector with various programs, and also participate in the planning processes. Just to give an example, that students coming out of IIPS probably are very good in data analysis, maybe, but then how do we interpret this data in the context of the programs and policies, and how do we kind of work with the program managers and provide inputs to improve the programs per se? So I was thinking that aspect probably can be further strengthened with inclusion of, I think, probably internship as well as some practical experience. That's something which I feel that many of the students whom I have been kind of hiring from IIPS, they will take some time to readjust, and I think it may be good to incorporate some of these skill development also in the training programs. The other thing which I wanted to also talk about was basically the quality, of it's, the NEP 2020 doesn't talk about higher education in silent. It's basically talking about an all-round development of the students, and also, which means also the quality of faculty and student interactions. So I think that is something which also needs to be like, when we talk about future of IIPS, we also not only in terms of how do we restructure our institute, how do we introduce new programs, teaching programs, but also to see how do we have a high quality faculty, and what is the process for that, and how do we ensure that kind of a faculty development, or and induction of quality faculty within the and from the stakeholder groups, within IIPS. So that's also something which we need to think about. So my overall impression is that, the plan is very ambitious, and this is a very good time and opportunity to expand. But I think we need to, expand our plan based on a solid, or a good perspective and conceptualization of what's the role of IIPS and what we mean by development, and taking into consideration all the current, relevant ideas which are nationally and globally available for us. So with this, I really thank again, and good to be back, and good to see many of my teachers and colleagues and students in this group. This is amazing experience for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Yes, I think we have really good advice and concerns from the 6 panelists. Okay. So I think, Professor James, I would take just 2-3 minutes. Okay. I think we have good suggestions and advice and concerns. And as I understand, this is not questions and answer sessions. It is actually to accumulate the suggestions which IIPS can look into, and that would help IIPS, the steps they are taking and modifications or whatever, changes they are able to make. Probably it will help in that direction. So the whole session was for that, get the suggestions and perspective from other alumni and other experts who have spent some time in IIPS, and they have breathed the air and demography of IIPS campus. So because we used to say that if you spend few hours in IIPS campus, you become demographer. May not be population scientist, but demographer at least. So all the suggestions are very important. And you have a lot of material, I think, in the chat. Some of the concern which I had earlier also I had raised, and they are all reflected in the chat box. And most important, I think, which comes out, I feel, is the School of Health Data Science. There are a lot of chat which says why only health data. And question is, are we limiting ourselves to all the interactive data which interacts with population, which interacts with health, which interacts with our surrounding climate, everything? Are we ignoring that set of data by naming only the School of Health Data Science? So that concern has been raised in the chat box, and we also say, are we limiting to health data because fund is coming from there? That's the first concern. I think IIPS would take or keep in mind that we are not limiting to only health data, but also the determinants of health data. Probably that would cover other sector of the data and will be actually given prior focus in the department. So that is the first concern, I think, which has been there overall. Second important thing, which I had raised earlier also, the Master in Population Studies and Master in MSc in Demography. I think Nair also mentioned, and this is the one concern because when Dr. S.K. Singh spoke, he said MPS is our brand. So what happened to MSc Demography? Are we saying it is the second brand or lower than MPS brand? I mean, it is a competitions and students, the choice. And that in the chat, it has come, which says that you have many departments, whether they are mutually exclusive to attract students from different sectors in our whole country or system. Are we attracting? See whom we are attracting at present need to be studied. Is it geography? It is statistics? It is economics? Many times we don't get even the sociology people. So we need to study which subject people the current subject or degrees have been attracting, and then that competitiveness among, because question is, suppose few departments in 1 or 2 years, they don't attract any student, it takes 2 years, 3 years, job market orientation, and that goes to the public. No, these departments, you don't get job. This department, you get more job. So that is the point in the chat, how that competition in job market and attracting the students for each department could be made more mutually exclusive, self-explanatory to the market of student. That is the second point which I think the chat box is raising, because it is not very good that after 2 years, oh no, this department is not getting any student, maybe we close it. There is no market for this. So you need to be more probably alert and see how it could be taken care. That is the second point in my view. And probably the chat also mentioned all those. Third point, of course, is a very important, and IIPS, I think, has been thinking about internship. If you have a flexible, time schedule or giving the degree, many times you see you can go out for 6 months and come back and then complete the remaining course and then get the degree. The internship for longer duration probably will be very helpful, because what we have at present, 2 years course means you go in the summer for 1.5 months or so, do internship, come back, but it's not just made compulsory. Let us probably think about if it can be made compulsory, and sometimes slot or otherwise flexible, come back and you do your study, complete your, whatever credit and whatever, and then get the degree. That would be really attractive, as well as provide the skill, which most of the panelists say that is skill of integrating or triangulating data and the behavior, social behavior or other behavior of the population. So probably that would help to give the larger, thinking about the student from IIPS. So these are the 3 points which I think need to be taken care, or be alert what we are doing, and see whether how successful, or we will anyway, I think, go step by step, start do that. Because the point which Dr. Verma raised, that we are still playing very safe. So not going too much away from demography, our population science, our brand, all defining. So probably that would be in the mind of IIPS at present, that too much probably deviations or too much, bold steps may not be very advisable or helpful. So I think the first step is good, and probably later on one could expand more and more on this ground or on this foundation. That will be helpful. So thank you very much inviting me for to moderate this, and I thank the panelists who have taken, all have taken less than 8 minutes. That was the time I thought 6-7 minutes will give, and therefore now in the program there is a few questions and answer. Of course, I thought there is no question answer for such a speak, but there is a question and answer. So any audience would like to, unless you have a burning point that you cannot sleep when you go home, so please mention here, so that maybe Professor James would not sleep. So I think no one has a burning point. So, yes? Anyone? Yes, Professor DPC?
I think the problem is that they have to be unmuted unless, because it is everyone is locked.
Muted.
Everyone is muted, so that only chat box may be possible.
Yeah, I have a question actually. I'm from UK.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Sure, yeah, please.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, probably I'll open my video as well.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. This is Venkata Pucha, otherwise known as Rama Prasad. I think, Ephraim, you are not there when I'm studying. You went to US for your postdoc or whatever it is. So I have a less interaction with you. But definitely we met in Visakhapatnam IASP conference at that time. So here, basically, I joined when Professor Kulkarni was talking about some interdisciplines subjects need to be introduced or whatever it is on touch based on health economics and insurance and some other things like data science and other things. Though the IIPS have a lot of experience on data analysis and publication of papers, I've seen, I was there like 2 years, and I've seen IIPS is more in general of a factory production rather than an academic, what do you call it, intellectuality. After I came to UK, last 22 years, but IIPS has given me a good environment to understand all those things in UK basically. But the thing is, when I visited in 2010, again the same scenario has been repeated. I think there is no something like a policy making adopting across the countries or across within the country, or maybe suggestion of the something like intellectuality rights or whatever it is on the data, whatever you collect, a lot of things you collect in house, but unable to project to the public. That is what I understand. And even in the public health domain, we do a lot. We, in sense that I'm not recognize myself in IIPS anymore. So IIPS have published endless of publications, but none of the publications are really taking into forward in actionable items. I think this has to be concentrated rather than putting a lot of courses which are not much relevance to the students. I think, again, in coming to the biostatistics, I was a bit surprised why demographic things has been included in the biostatistics syllabus. I'm really wondered. Basically, biostatistics has a lot of things on health economics. And again, because I had some couple of collaborations in London School of Economics under the health economics domain, and they do a little bit differently. And second thing, biostatistics in health or clinical domains like pharmaceuticals and other things, they have a lot of presence there. I think that is where we are lacking in the IIPS. If they want biostatistics to be a subject, It has to be on biostatistics, not on the demography. Some of the things they can introduce, but not on 50% or 75% of the demographic repeatable things which we already study in MPS into the biostatistics domain. That is what I wanted to have a comments. And if they want any help, please do. As an alumni of IIPS, I'm happy to help you on the syllabus framework and other things. I do have about 6 years experience in Imperial College teaching statistics, medical statistics, and I do have an experience for the same thing working in King's College, London. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Thank
other-
you very much. I think we'll...
Professor Ephraim, I think I'm afraid we have
Yeah.
to stop it because we have another
Yeah,
session
right.
at 6:45. I think this is
Yeah.
an interaction with each batchmates. I think we have to, I
Yeah.
think that is in another link, so you have to disconnect and come to that link. So that is, this is not a continuation. So sorry, we have to stop it. And before stopping, let me thank all of you for your very wonderful suggestions. I think, as I told you initially, it was only an idea. It was only an ambitious plan. So we really need seeking for suggestions. But let me also tell you what is behind this internal discussion and why actually we came out with that kind of a plan. I think there are two things very important. One is that we always felt that IIPS need to play with the strength of IIPS. We should not really think that IIT is good, so we should look like IITs. We should think that ISI is good. What is the strength of IIPS? Undoubtedly, IIPS strength is data. I think one has to recognize that whether data can be scientifically again move forward in a disciplinary manner. That is what actually India did not have, that a culture of data becoming a scientific discipline. I think that is why actually health data science itself is projected that, wherever IIPS has a strength, we need to move forward. That was the point. But I fully agree with that. I think integration with social science and data, or data without a perspective, is a serious crime. And if you really look at the new national education policy, I think they have given an answer to that question. What they have told in that the policy document is, you need to capture students at undergraduate level. If you really start capturing students at the postgraduate level and ask them to really then becoming an integrated multidisciplinary exercise, it's not possible. It is a multidisciplinarity should come at an undergraduate level. That is why they visualized, okay, let us play at undergraduate level. Let us have a multidisciplinary course at undergraduate level, whether it is social science and data and everything is integrated under undergraduate level. So when you go to postgraduate level, you can have a specialization. You can go, if you want only on data, you just go with the data. If you want only on social science, you go with that. That is sort of an ambitious plan, actually, the national education policy. I think we also thought that could be a framework which we can adopt. That is why if you really look at our undergraduate program, which we are visualizing, it's a 4-year program, it can be a 5-year program, but if you have 4 years, you have studied already the social science part, you have also studied the data part, but then you can decide where do you want to go, where do you want to move forward. But I know that the perspective is important at an undergraduate level, perhaps not at the postgraduate level. But I think, we have also a larger committee which is working under the ministry, which has a very wide expertise in that committee, like Professor Geeta Sen, Professor Shalini Bharat, Professor Mahindra Dev from the IJDR, and there are many of the expertise who are working around this. So it is actually, we are not completely going out of demographers, because demographers suggestion we get from internally, but we also look forward to a suggestion from a wider community of scholars, so that how do we really position IIPS as a leading institutions where IIPS has strength. That is the purpose. I thank you so much for all your suggestions. I think suggestions are well taken. I think we need to really know that there are different areas where we need to improve. I think that is finally the efforts all of us have to make together. I think in that journey, I'm sure all of you, all the expertise, all the scholarship of the alumni is very important. So we look forward to having your suggestions and guidance while we move forward. Thank you again. So unfortunately, we have to disconnect now.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all the panelists for agreeing to participate in this.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All the best for IIPS. Okay.
We should take a photo now. Bye-bye. I think you have to disconnect now. I believe you have to disconnect, and you have to join for the concerned, the group where you have to join, whichever the batch you belongs to. please join in the respective batch meetings so that we will have an interaction with your batchmates and also perhaps discuss any of these issues which we think is relevant to IIPS as well as the demography for the country as a whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you.